Hey friends, it's Olga. Welcome to BA Blog. Today we proceed to talk about project discovery in remote mode. Last time I told you how my team and I got prepared for the online sessions, what steps we took and what artifacts we prepared on week 0 before the discovery kickoff. Today I want to focus on execution stage. In particular, I will tell you how it went, what challenges we faced and how we survived them. I will share with you my insights, impressions and lessons learned. So if you're interested, welcome on board. As I mentioned in my previous video, the discovery in remote mode implies lots of preparation and investigation before it even starts. So on week 0, my team and I investigated existing client backend systems and websites and analyzed all the input materials provided by the stakeholders. It allowed us to get prepared well, so by the time we moved to the execution stage, we had a high-level understanding of project ecosystem and boundaries. We also created the PowerPoint decks for each corresponding workshop, aligning our assumptions and open questions related to the project scope. I had an illusion we are well prepared and everything will go smoothly. I thought conducting the remote workshop sessions won't be difficult, as I had years of experience working with the clients from offshore. I thought it would be similar to my regular requirements solicitation sessions when I call to client and clarify their requirements. In reality, it was much more challenging. First of all, because of a poor communication with the client. When you collaborate with the client daily or when you go on site, besides the work itself, you also have an opportunity to build the relationships. It's not a secret that warm and trusting relationships are the key for the further successful collaboration. Executing the discovery in remote mode, you don't have that advantage. We first met our stakeholders during the online kickoff session. We didn't have time or opportunity to chat with them offline. Because of a significant number of participants, they never switched on their cameras, so we could hear them, but we never saw them. We were strangers to stakeholders, and despite we did our best to get prepared for the sessions well, they went rather formal and stressful. The point is, when you communicate with the person face to face, you create the eye contact. You get lots of non-verbal signals. You can track their reaction based on facial expressions and body language. You also notice how they communicate between themselves, and it helps to find the common language. In our situation, it was impossible. We switched on our cameras so they could see us, real people. We tried to show our friendliness. We chose the words carefully to show our respect. We tried to smile where it was appropriate just to diffuse the situation, but it didn't help much. The most challenging moments for me were when I was saying something during this session and heard a long silence in return. It is probably similar to an experience when you perform on a stage in front of a big audience and they don't react. Quite confusing. The second challenge we've been fighting was the risk of information loss and distortion. Interviewing the stakeholders, I was focused on active listening, trying to catch every detail while they were sharing the screen or explaining the business logic. Also, the most active stakeholders from the client side were people with the technical background, so they tend to go into technical details, even responding on some high-level, purely business-related questions. I'm not a technical person, and sometimes it was hard for me to follow and fish out from all these details the answer to my question. As you can imagine, in that situation it was almost impossible for me to catch all the information on the fly and make notes in parallel. So I recorded every single session just to be sure the information won't be lost. As a part of our deliverables, we had to provide the detailed meeting minutes of each session for client's verification the next day. Due to a 9 hours time difference with the client, the workshop sessions usually ended close to midnight for me, so I created the follow-ups the next morning. Every morning I started with consolidation of notes made by my team members and listening through the recordings to catch the missing parts and transform it all into a readable follow-up. Sometimes I had to listen several times to understand it and translate it into simple words. Sometimes the notes of my colleagues contradicted. That is because we all hear the same words, but we understand and interpret them differently. In such situations, the meeting recordings are invaluable. It was a huge piece of work, but it paid off because all these follow-ups were the base source of information for the backlog and solution architecture document. So my advice to you: always ask client permission to record the sessions and don't hesitate to put enough time and effort into creation of detailed meeting minutes. It will help you to aggregate and verify the information as well as to create the final deliverables. Also, this is the great source of information that can be reused during the design and implementation stages. The third challenge was the schedule. Execution of the discovery in the remote mode implies lots of effort in terms of self-preparation for the workshops. I explained it in my previous video talking about how we prepared for the discovery on week 0. As I mentioned, to get prepared for the sessions, we created the PowerPoint deck for each corresponding workshop. In most cases, these decks contain the results of our investigation as well as our assumptions and open questions. So they had to be updated as well as we went through the discovery and got the client input. For example, we created the deck assuming the client would go with some base search capabilities available out of the box. During the functional and technical overview session, the stakeholders mentioned that they have some custom logic as well as integration with some external systems providing search recommendations and search personalization, and they want to preserve this functionality. It meant our initial assumption was wrong. The deck related to the search and navigation workshop must be updated, and the session planned for the discussion of the search and navigation requirements should be extended from 1 to 3 hours, affecting the initial discovery schedule. I spent my mornings follow-upping, days updating the decks, evenings conducting the sessions, nights trying to reach the stakeholders to get my deliverables accepted. My team was also extremely busy as they had to conduct the ecosystem audit to create the technical deliverables. To win some time for our team in between the sessions, it was agreed with the client the workshops will be conducted 4 times a week. The day 5 was supposed to be the wrap-up day intended for internal team activities like processing of input materials and further investigation of the ecosystem. It was helpful and I recommend this approach to everyone. Still, our schedule was tight and our communication was fragmented as the team was spread worldwide. For example, I had only 30 minutes a day to catch up with the solution architect because of the time difference and our crazy schedule. By the end of week 2, we completed all the online sessions with the client. We were exhausted and it was 2 weeks ahead for processing of collected materials and preparation of deliverables. I had an illusion the most challenging and stressful part was behind, and I was wrong. Next week I will tell you how we went through the 2 last weeks of the discovery, what deliverables we prepared, and what it took to get them accepted. Thank you for your time and attention. Let me know if it was useful to you. Good luck and see you soon.